Greetings and welcome back to the For Health Scholars channel. My name is Dr. Orobosa, and on this channel, I show current and aspiring healthcare management, administration, and public health students how to one, quickly and successfully earn their degrees, and two, how to start, build, and enjoy profitable careers within the business side of the healthcare industry globally. Now, today's video, I am going to talk about how to manage academic rigor, stress, and fatigue as a healthcare graduate student. I think this conversation is so timely as the semester has started for many students, usually at the end of August, beginning of September. Many college students are enrolled in school and attending school either full-time or part-time. And around this point, you start to feel the stress that comes from the embedded academic rigor that you see in many of, if not all, university programs. And if you're not sure what academic rigor is, here is a definition that I was able to pull up for you. But academic rigor is a concept or a process that is embedded in your curriculums, it is embedded in your school programs, and it's geared there to challenge you as a student. It is geared to help you grow as a student and as a professional so that when you go into the field and you meet real world problems, especially in the healthcare space, you know how to manage them and you know how to handle them and provide solutions. And so academic rigor is a very real thing in the university setting. But for many students, as you are experiencing academic rigor, sometimes it can cause you stress and sometimes it can even cause you fatigue. And we know that stress and fatigue are not healthy. So today I want to provide you with a few tips that helps you manage your stress and fatigue as it arises, or even anxiety, or even all of the different other feelings you may experience because of the experience that you're going through at the university level. From my own personal experiences, I felt the most stress when I was enrolled in my doctoral program. It was a completely different ball game for me. I have always been a student from even my developmental years to be at the top of my class, and at the first couple of years, so the first 3 years of my doctoral journey, things were just going as normal. I was at the top of my class. But when I got into the dissertation writing stages, that is where I started to meet some challenges. And a lot of those challenges were due to the embedded academic rigor that you see at the doctoral level. And some of these tips that I'm going to share with you, I was able to implement, and other tips I wish I did. But nonetheless, all of what I share with you today, I hope that it does help you if you are feeling stressed, or if you are feeling fatigue, depression, anxiety, imposter syndrome, feeling like you want to give up because of the academic rigor that is embedded in your curriculum. I hope it changes your mind. So the first tip that I would give you for you to embrace self-care and productivity to help you manage academic rigor, stress, and fatigue is to get enough rest. Sleep. Okay, let me repeat that. Sleep, sleep, sleep. I cannot stress the importance of you sleeping. Now, we know that sleeping is very important to the body, and when we start to lack on sleep, it changes our mood, it impacts our cognitive reasoning. I mean, there's a whole list of how a lack of sleep can negatively impact the human body. But as a graduate student, whether you're at the master's or doctoral level, it is important that you find a way to get enough rest, because when you are well rested, it allows you to have mental clarity. It allows you to perform at your optimum best. And those two things are needed for you to be successful in completing your program. Especially as a healthcare graduate student, we are training to teach civilians, aka our patients, how to live healthy and fulfilling lives, how to be able to not experience so many healthcare disparities. Whether you're a nursing student down to a public health student, our core mission is providing systems, processes, tools, resources that helps our patients live life to the fullest, that they live long and healthy lives. So as we preach this to our patients, we also need to apply it to ourselves. And the first way to do this is get enough rest. So the next tip I would tell you is to eat well and make healthy eating a habit. Now, personally, I had to start adopting the eating well habit by force. In year 3 of my doctoral program, I was diagnosed with a wheat allergy. And for like a few years, I was feeling very fatigued. I was feeling very like lethargic. I would, like, every time I would eat a sandwich or bread, it just didn't make me feel right. And I went to a few doctors and nobody really could depict what was happening until I went finally saw a specialist who was like, hey, something is not right. Let's do an allergy test and recognize that, yes, I have a wheat allergy. And so as a result, if I eat it, it's going to give me those symptoms. And so from that, it really made me change the way that I was eating. And so once I got that diagnosis, I really got serious about what I ate and I was very mindful of what I ate. And so I would tell you, when you're eating well, that also helps you as a student, because you now have the physical energy to be able to complete your assignments and to navigate your academic journey. And if you understand how food works and how the purpose of food to fill your body, you will recognize that this tip that I'm sharing with you is very essential. Then the next tip is to move your body daily. Now, as a student, especially in post-pandemic world where many people are working from home, many students are doing their programs online, even myself, if I'm not conscious of it, I can sit down all day, like without moving, because all of my work is done on the computer, but that is not healthy for you. A sedentary lifestyle does speed up your opportunities for experiencing different types of health disparities. And once again, impedes your performance as a student, especially at the graduate level. Once again, as a healthcare graduate student, we are preparing ourselves to lead healthcare organizations. We are preparing ourselves to have healthy communities. So, how can we preach something that we don't practice? So, I would tell you to move your body daily, but have a balance, right? Because too much exercise, too much of rigorous activities can make you tired, and that will make you procrastinate and not be able to do your work. So, finding the balance, do small burst of movement. That's like another recommendation that I can give you to help you navigate and manage your journey as a student in the graduate program, especially at the doctoral level. Like, try to manage as much energy that you exert, but still move your body. Hence why I didn't say just exercise. Move your body in a way where it gets it going, circulation, blood circulation is flowing so that you can think, that you feel well, and that you have the energy to complete your assignments and engage in a rigorous program like a doctoral program or even your master's program. Then the next tip I'm going to tell you is to pause when necessary. This is so important. As a healthcare graduate student, you really have to be conscious of how you're exerting your energy. And I'm not to say that you shouldn't do what you need to do to survive, but for me, it was like the overdrive was starting to impact me negatively. It was not allowing me to be able to relax and when I needed to relax, or to perform where I needed to perform. And that caused a world of other issues in my life. And so once I got control by pausing and just knowing that it's okay to stop, things start to change for me. And I hope that that will do it for you if you are a person who's always on the go. The next tip I would tell you is to create a strong support system, especially as you are a student, a graduate student. When you get to the doctoral level, this is so important. I couldn't have finished my doctoral program without my support system. It was a mixture of my family and friends, like people who prayed for me, people who just allowed me to call them and vent. I had a good friend who was also doing her doctoral program, and we would just exchange ideas with each other. We would vent to each other. But that venting and that just talking out what you were going through in such a process that sometimes can feel so isolating, so lonely, was helpful and beneficial for me to be able to overcome the challenges and the hurdles and the academic rigor that academic rigor presented at its due time. And so you definitely want to have a strong support system in place, and then also join support groups or get tutoring if needed. I think for some people, it's hard for them to ask for help. And for me, it was just kind of like I never had an issue kind of getting the help that I needed to help me achieve a goal, but it wasn't a habit of mine. And I'm telling you, it's so relieving when you can get to an answer faster than what you expected. And one of the ways to do that is by joining a support group filled with individuals who are going through a process that you've gone through or have passed that process. So join support groups and get tutoring if needed. Ask questions and ask as many questions as you need. I know for many of my students, when I'm a professor, Certain students come to me like at the end of the semester when they're at a problem that they can't get out of. And I'm just like, why you didn't ask the question at the beginning? And weren't you proactive in asking questions? Because if you would have asked the question, it would have completely just alleviated the stress that you're going through now, taking a reactive approach. So ask questions. No question is a dumb question. I know certain individuals or students who may have had bad experiences with people they're trying to ask questions with, but I'm telling you, the more you feel comfortable asking questions and finding answers, it makes your life so much easier and helps you alleviate the stress and fatigue that is coming from being in a higher educational program. Then take actual breaks during your breaks. If you're on break, take the break. This most of the time, the work that you're doing, your university is not going to accept it when you're out of school. Why? Because you're not paying when you're off. Let's just be real. You're not paying tuition during your off break, so nobody's going to read it. So, not to say you shouldn't be proactive in preparing, but once again, actively working towards balance. There's no one set formula for balance, but actively working towards it. And one of the ways to do that is by taking breaks during your breaks. The next tip, this is a very personal one, cry when you need to. This was the hardest thing for me to do and feel okay that I was crying. Like my doctorate program, if anybody can tell you, it sometimes bring you blood, sweat, and tears. I didn't bleed, but I did have sweat and tears. And at the beginning, I used to feel so guilty for crying because I'm like, I'm the one who made the decision to go into this program. I'm the one who did this. Nobody forced me to do it, but that's not healthy. Yes, I decided to go to this program, but I didn't know this program, this is what it entailed. And just because I didn't know this or wasn't prepared for it doesn't mean I should feel guilty for that. And the same thing that I advise for you, cry when you need to. Crying is actually very healthy to the body. It releases endorphins that helps us calm down. A lot of things that happens when you cry. It's a form of healing. Cry. Now, don't stay there. When negative situations are happening in your life, how you should need to embrace that moment. Don't get stuck in the crying, right? Cry and then say, okay, I got that out. You probably feel better that you cried. Now let's take action. And I'm telling you, it's okay to cry and cry when you need to. Cry, get it out. And this is something my sister told me. She was like, you need to cry. Just cry, scream, yell, do whatever you need to do just to alleviate that emotion that you're going through right now. And then once you've done that, let's come back and regroup to see, okay, how do we work past it or move past it in a healthy way? Then get organized in all areas of your life. This is very important. Organization is key. And for you to be successful as a graduate student, especially at the doctoral level, you need to be organized in every area of your life. And organization looks different from person to person. But one of the things that I did to get organized in my life was to make sure that if I said that I am going to write from 2 to 4, I made sure I stood to that schedule, writing from 2 to 4. I didn't let anything come violate that boundary or that task that I put in place for myself. And that was a form of organization for me, like to make sure that I respected the things that I said I was going to do and make sure that my support system, work, everybody, people knew that, okay, at this time, I'm dedicating to my writing, I'm dedicating to doing my assignments, I'm dedicating to just resting my brain. So get organized in all areas of your life. Organization is key, especially as a doctoral student. You have to keep track of deadlines, citations, quarterly articles. There's a whole bunch of things that you need to keep track of. And so getting organized in all areas of your life will be instrumentally helpful to you. And then have fun and do things that make you happy. And this is something that I truly embraced once I left or moved out of the New York City area. Unfortunately, hate to say that because New York is just a hustle and bustle city and everybody's trying to work and to survive. I didn't recognize the importance of having fun and doing things that made me happy until I relocated out of the city. enjoying that favorite drink of mine, hanging out with friends when I could. I'm not telling you to be irresponsible, but I am telling you that in your academic pursuits, you also need to actively work towards balance. And one of the ways to do that is to have fun and to do things that make you happy. It helps our body when we laugh. Once again, it releases all type of endorphins and things that help us just make our body feel viable, make our body feel whole. And then also accept that failure and challenges are a part of life. You're not always going to get it right, even in your academic efforts, especially at the graduate level. You're going to get constructive feedback that you're not always going to be satisfied with, but know that that's a part of the process. And that's there to teach you to overcome that. And once you're able to take that feedback and revise it and submit it and get approval, trust me, you have accomplished so many things. You've overcome something that could have been used to break you, used to hold you back. But because you really accepted that, okay, this is constructive feedback, let me work on it, let me revise this, versus just being stuck in that place of it's a failure or it's a challenge, you have found that you will be growing as a professional and as an individual. And then this is my favorite activity to do: pray and meditate. I'm gonna tell you, honestly speaking, it is God who got me through my doctoral program. Like, every time I had prayed, and I prayed, sometimes the prayers I felt like weren't even prayers that were good for me. But God was like, there's no such thing as a bad prayer. You're having a conversation with me. Every time I had a conversation with God and I was transparent with Him about how I was feeling at the time, He always sent an answer for me. He always sent a solution. I love to pray and I love to meditate on the Word of God. And I will tell you, developing your spiritual aspect of you is also just as important as cultivating your intellectual, physical, or mental and social well being. Your spiritual well being is also very important. So pray and meditate. That's something that it can offer you. And all at the last tip that I can give you is always keep your end goal, aka your why, close to you. Keep it in mind. Sometimes it's not always going to be at the forefront, but at least it is close to you, is at the back of your mind, that you know that the reason why I'm getting my master's, the reason why I'm getting my doctoral degree is that it's going to do this for my life. It's going to help support this of my life. As a professor in my trade, I wanted to make sure that I can continue being an expert in my field. I love teaching. And in my industry, as an academic, the standard is to have a doctoral degree, because I love instilling knowledge in professionals who are also in that space of they want to get their degrees. So I held on to those whys. And even when the times were getting challenging, especially in my doctoral program, that's the program that just it gave me a different experience on my academic journey, because before then, academics came easy to me. And my doctoral program for the first 3 years was very a breeze for me. It was just now circumnavigating these different reviewers, and each person had their own commentary, and trying to put all of their feedback together to get the final product was really challenging me. But I stayed the course and I applied many of the things that I shared with you today. Some that was in the mid of my program, and then at towards the end, where I was just like, I made that decision. It's not going to break me. It's not going to kill me. I'm not going to quit, but I got to put my foot down and I have to control my mental well being. And when you are in control of your mental well being and knowing that I serve God first, when I grasp that concept, things in my life start to change with my physical, social, spiritual, intellectual health, hands down. And that is what I want for you as a current or aspiring health graduate student. So I hope these tips were helpful. Definitely let me know in the comment section what you think. If you had additional tips, please share. Remember, this is a community that I'm building for health scholars. Share your thoughts in the comment box. So once again, thank you for tuning into this week's video. And of course, like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, bye for now.